It's Sunday morning, good morning, happy Sunday morning to you, good morning. A lovely wet Sunday morning for driving down Kiln Lane, where I go to work. And oh dear, look at, oh dear, I seem to have passed it. And yeah, I'm still going the wrong way. Should I turn around up here? Ah, right. Now I've gone out of Milne Road together now and into New Lane. Yeah, I reckon something's going on. That's probably enough. I'm actually not heading to work at the moment. You may have already gathered that. But I'm also going to Craig's, you know, Rover Revival. But I'm going to go and have a look at a load of parts he has with a view to consuming them. And when I say consuming them, I mean taking them away and putting them up for sale. You might be a bit confused by that. I mean, if you've seen the yard, it is full of bits everywhere. And my lockup, full of bits. And my top lockup, full of bits. So why would I want to be taking on loads more? Well, that's the interesting question. And that's why I'm going over there to look to see whether it is something I can do something with. I know. Lovely little visit. The boot of Gladys is full of Rover parts, or MG parts, MGTF parts, MGF parts, Rover 800 parts, and you know, it is actually completely full. You know, it is. And then I took another box of other bits as well. Some R8 indicators and some handles. I'll show you in a bit. Another test of Gladys's performance, oh, that didn't sound good, did it? Would be to see whether we can get up this hill in 5th gear. Because most of my cars, I end up having to change to 3rd by the time I get to the top. Here we go, 5th gear. Still doing 50 miles per hour. 5th gear catching up a Fiesta. 5th gear having to slow down because the Fiesta's going slower than I can go. Still in 5th gear. But now I'm down to 30 miles per hour. Oh, it's still going though. Just about going up. 5th gear, 30 miles per hour. Would you like to see what I've got? Well, a batch of indicators and BRM trim and a few light clusters. Let's take a closer look. There we have some Rover 800 rear lamps, Peter Blowy Malarkey and a Mark II Rover rear lamps, and then some more Rover 800 rear lamps, and then some R8 with white bits. MGF and more R8, and then some more 800s and a BRM grille. It's impressive what you can fit into the back of a Rover 400, especially when you consider that it's still half full. So some odds and sods and seat belts, and then MGF TF armrests. Look, there's an actual leather one as well, and then a Honda V6 inlet manifold. More on that on another day, where I shall be putting those parts up for sale and then going and getting some more, because there's a bit more for me to collect as well. What a lovely day. Oh, why is it recording again? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. Or so they say. Or so they used to say. You can't really say that any longer, can you? Because doctors don't do home visits. And if you do want a doctor's appointment, you've got to phone up before 8 o'clock in the morning and tell them that you've not had your apple. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I need to get some parts up for sale before my elbow comes loose or something. Let's start with these Rover BRM grills and then these rather curious R8 lamps. I have never seen them with the white surround before. I'm going to interrupt this. Hello. It is the man known as Mustard, and tonight I'm going to be the man known as Mustard, as in Mustard and Boaty, as I travel south to Mr. Boaty's residence. Yes. It's going to be a fun evening, that's the idea. It's going to be fun with a capital PH. And this will also be the first decent drive I have out in Gladys. So, let's hope the old girl behaves herself. I've actually set off about 25 minutes early than I meant to do. Hopefully I won't catch him with his pants down. You know, one thing I've noticed about this car today is that the lights are pants. Really could do some better bulbs than this. One thing for sure, I think that binding brake has definitely freed itself off, because it must have done. I'm at ever so slight slope here, and as the moment I take my foot off the brake it starts to move forward. So that's good news, even though I've got shocking lights. The M60, my favourite motorway that goes through Stockport. Seriously, these lights are absolutely useless. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing here. It's bonkers. Tuesday morning, and here I am walking to work. Not because I've got no petrol in the car, because at the moment I've got quite a bit, but just because it seems like the best thing to do. Seems like the most proactive thing to be doing given the situation. The situation being I'm only 2 miles away from work anyway. Last night I did spend the evening up with Boaty doing the live stream, and then I drove home, and the drive there and back, not particularly pleasant experience in the dark. What a pity. This used to be a perfectly good garage years ago. Did MOTs, service work, all that kind of thing, and they were forced to sell up so it could be turned into a co-op or something, and it never even happened. Starting this week off with some nonsense. I think I said this before, but having this walk gives me more of a time to reflect and make decisions and just think about what's going on. Kind of the same thing really, isn't it? But here's a point. I was on this last week, but the whole YouTube thingy and being committed to doing YouTube, that wouldn't have come about if it wasn't for a particular circumstance of being a bit stuck as to what kind of work I could do due to commitments with school runs, etc. And then I got into this thing, and I've really got into it, and I'd like to go all the way with it, putting all of my eggs into that one basket. That the trouble is, it's a big gamble, and it's a long-term plan, and it requires me to be constantly making videos and to have constantly getting new people in to watch them and being interested in us to view the adverts, make donations, become memberships when I do that. I suppose at the moment it feels a bit like I've taken my 6 eggs, the only 6 I had, and I've cracked them all into one pan, and they're just about starting to cook, but I'm already hungry, and if I don't eat soon, you know, the worst could happen. And there's some bacon there, but the only way I can have the bacon is then to chuck away the eggs. That would mean, yeah, a complete change of direction, and quite obviously I don't want to do that. I hope you don't mind my rambling thoughts, but today I intend to have a fully productive day. So to start with, before I do any work, I'm going to eat some eggs. That was a bit unexpected, wasn't it? But these eggs I cooked these eggs. I boiled these eggs last night, and I thought I'll just do all of them, and for my din. I took them along with me when I went to Boaty's house, but the trouble is, eating eggs in the car is just not a good idea. And once I got there, I was starving, so I went to the boot and cracked one open, but I couldn't see at all what I was doing, and I ended up eating bits of eggshell, so I gave up on one. And now I've got these for the rest of the day. Well, you join me on my walk home, and as you can see, it's not dark. And that's not because this is a video from the summer, but because I'm fed up. It's too cold, and I'm fed up with that TF at the moment. I do need to just get back to that, but it means more and more work just to get it back to as it was before. And in the meantime, what I'm getting is people messaging me about it saying, if it's got the original exhaust on it, I'll give you 300 quid. In other words, looking for an easy bit of pocket money, thinking that it's got its original cat on it and that's worth a good few hundred quid all by itself. Well, no, it hasn't. And I didn't even bother getting into that conversation because it just irritates me somewhat. Last night, you might know that I went over to Boaty's for the evening, and before I set off I charged my phone fully, and then I used the sat nav quite a bit by the time I got there, and it was at about 75%. And then I had my phone on all the time viewing the video so I could read the comments for 2.5 hours. By the time I'd set off I had 23% left, but it's fine because I made sure I brought the plug-in charger and I made sure it worked. But what I didn't do was make sure I brought the right lead. And guess what? I didn't. That made the drive home a little bit more exciting because it meant that I had to go back to the old traditional way of just looking out for road signs all the way back. It's fine. It was, I used to do that. Don't know why people don't do it any longer. It's another day and it's another walk, because why not? Why not indeed? It's lovely and cold. It's -2 degrees, which means that I'm more likely to warm up and become acclimatized to my rather cold day ahead by walking and getting myself naturally warmed up than cranking up the heat in the car. And plus the other thing, it's not about saving money because it's not going to cost that much to drive to work and back anyway, but it's only a couple of miles, but it gives me that opportunity to have a proper good think about what I'm going to do there today, rather than just turning up, making a cup of tea and then having a little dabble on my keyboard. I need to go looking for an ice scraper. Yesterday should have been the day where I started finding things like ice scrapers, but I didn't. It just completely slipped my mind, and now I can't move that. Well, I could. Well, I thought of an ice scraper in here, but I have got some WD-40 with a stick, a stalk, which I did need yesterday. Well, the best thing I can think of to do here is to go so slowly that no harm can happen, even if I crash into something, which undoubtedly I won't do anyway. I hope Almost. Look at that. Brummy Alan, I almost crashed into your car at a very slow speed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should demist your windscreen. And look who's over there. You're a big chap, aren't you? How curious. The way it's just stood there like some sort of cartoon character in wait. That's rather strange. Looks like somebody's driving transit face. Yep, it still does. How strange. I think my fridge might have stopped working. It doesn't feel particularly cold in there. And also, yeah, look at that. I bet what that is because it's cold. It senses that it's cold because obviously it's controlled with a thermostat. And it thought, ah, good, I don't need to go to work today, and hasn't bothered at all even for the freezer. So now my fuel filler flaps are becoming defrosted. What we need to do with these things is collect them all together and throw them all away. That would help avoid any accidental fitting of these locking nuts ever again. Due to the gravitational pull of the moon, do you think it'd be easier to walk up a hill whilst you're facing the moon than facing away from it? That's not Christmas tree lights, that's the pavement, glistening in the moonlight as it does. Christmas lights. What do we think of those? Or, what do I think of them? Because I don't know what you think of them. What I think is that when you have loads and loads of them, they have a funny effect on your brain because you have all these little tiny lights emphasizing how dark the lights surrounding is. And that will make your pupils shrink and almost dilate at the same time. And I think it plays a funny trick on your brain where it just makes you want to relax, go to sleep, or at least just relax. Relax in such a way where you, if you're so inclined, it'll make you feel cheerful and just all warm and snug and feeling like doing nothing. Or it could just really irritate you. Again, depending on who you are. It might make you want to reach for that beer even though it's not time to do so, and even though you're not supposed to be drinking anything during the week. Or it might make you want to simply go to sleep. But this is where it starts to sound like some sort of festive brainwashing. People traditionally spend a whole load of money at Christmas that they haven't got. I mean, some do have it, but the rest of the poor, measly people who want to feel part of it end up having to take out loans and credit cards and or just borrow money from somewhere they shouldn't, just so they can feel part of something that isn't really necessary. And then when you finally catch up with all the things that you've bought and feel like you're part of a proper community, all these Christmas lights will help you relax and feel like it's okay to suddenly get pissed. And I know this because that happens to me. I reject Christmas all the way along. I just don't really want anything to do with it. And then, usually a few days before, I suddenly feel okay about having a few beers. Not that I don't have them anyway, but it's like I'm really allowed to have them now. In fact, I'm openly encouraged to enjoy these beers, totally guilt-free. And then I enjoy Christmas. Briefly. That's right, it's Thursday. It says so just there. And I am driving into work. Not because it's too cold. I managed fine all day yesterday. In actual fact, I walked to work and I walked home. And I managed to stay reasonably warm. I had warm hands all day. amazing. I don't know whether that's because of my special meat diet I've been eating, or because I've just been busy. But I did make one rather crucial mistake yesterday. One very stupid and all familiar mistake that I keep on making. Can you guess what it is before I tell you? You probably already have done. Yes, I left my phone charger at work. And not only did I leave my phone charger at work, but I left my little solar powered charger as well. That wouldn't be a problem. But the cable, the spare cable I have, I also left that there as well. And that meant that I had no way of charging my phone to post up those 2 videos from Wednesday. So I had to walk home. And that meant, of course, I had to go back to work. But I didn't fancy doing that walk again, so I drove to work just to pick up my charger. So all this effort of walking instead of driving, not really to save much money because it doesn't, was completely pointless, completely redundant, and I feel very, very stupid. And it looks like I'm never ever going to learn. I do not have the capacity to change my ways, to take on this information and actually turn myself into a better organised person. It's just simply never going to happen. But that is not going to stop me from trying. The canal is actually frozen over. That's quite amazing. At least the lake hasn't frozen over. That really would be a bit special. Oh, hang on a minute. It is around the edges. Hopefully I'm going to have a rather lovely, productive day today. I never did find an ice scraper, and that was slightly silly of me to drive around my Nigel in the yard with not being able to see out the windscreen. But I have found the perfect alternative. And it's all thanks to a man called David. This mock-up of the YouTube 100,000 subscribers plaque that I had sent to me for 1,000 is a good ice scraper. Just watch. I think the ice is a bit colder down here than it is at home. Melty, melty. Melt the ice and the snow. We don't have any snow, but melt it when we get some. I don't mean that. I'd love to have some snow. Having a play around in the snow's fantastic if you're 10 or 52. Look at those lovely, beautiful crystals. Aren't they amazing? You might know that last week I spent quite a bit of while on lovely Gladys cleaning up the carpets and the seats with a wet vacuum drain, with getting rid of the mould and trying to remove the mouldy smell, and I thought it was a success. But gradually kind of musty smells are coming back, and I just popped my head into it then and it smelled a bit like meat. So that's strange, unless it's my beard that smells of that, but I don't know. Oh gosh, look at that. Looks like the end of the world. There's nothing beyond the brick wall there. Nothing at all. It's all gone. It's disappeared. But where's it disappeared to? Look at that. The lake's frozen over. That's amazing. This car does warm up very quickly. Good Gladys. Nice Gladys. The only thing is, when I get to the other end, which isn't very far away, I've got to get out back into the cold again. I may or may not have mentioned earlier on in the video that walking to work does help acclimatise me to the cold. And I spent all day nice and warm, but I walked. So why am I driving now? I'll tell you, because it's cold. You'll never guess what I'm thinking.